A very good evening and welcome to the #1 fantasy football game stream on the internet. Christmas gone, New Year gone, birthday gone. It is time that all attention focuses back where it should be, and that is the CM0102 Super League. And as a throwback to simpler times, I am absolutely delighted to welcome my co-commentator for this evening, a true legend of the community and of the Super League. Delighted to welcome back Martin. How are you, pal?
Delighted to be here, Fyfie. Very kind words. Very kind. Not sure it's fully deserved, but definitely happy to be back in the fold in some kind of capacity, as Duggan was so eagerly anticipating. So here I am.
Here you are indeed.
And
I'm very, as I said, very happy to be alongside you on screen again. It's almost a little bit weird doing it this way. I'm so used to having it the other way around, where you're on hosting duties and I'm the one here to cause chaos. But I'm sure you have your own brand of chaos to give us this evening. But let's start with a little catch up, mate, because obviously we've had the festive break, and Super League games have been a bit all over the place, but you've been a busy boy over the last month or two as well, haven't you?
Well, getting married and moving to a different country, I guess. I guess that qualifies as being slightly busy. Yeah, indeed. But yeah, definitely. It's been a bit of a roller coaster. So, but yeah, settling in. I got Christmas and New Year out of the way. Of course, wedding went to plan. Everyone turned up and said the right things at the right time. So
excellent, always good.
Nothing to complain about there.
Lots of messages coming in. There's Duggan saying there he is. We've got Jamie here as well saying great to see Martin back. Dimble saying Martin, ! Steve as well, great to see Martin involved in the show. You're going to be very popular. And of course, there's Jens proclaiming the Great Dane. And Duggan's saying, where are you based now, Martin?
In Krakow. For anyone interested or anyone wanting to visit, always welcome. I mean, not actually in my house, but in the city in general.
You can go over to Krakow, but you're not going to his house.
I might make an exception for a beer or two if you bring it. But no, for sure. Anyone fancy a trip to Poland, hit me up. I mean, well, to the Krakow area. Otherwise, I don't know anything. I also don't speak the language or anything else that might be of use. But apart from that,
Ross saying Martin does not look how I was expecting. I would take it as a compliment, maybe. I'm not sure what he was expecting you to look
no,
like.
me neither.
There we go. And then, as you say, yeah, quick backtrack there, Martin. And Doug Campbell said he's in Krakow on a stag do next month. You should sort something. Absolutely. And there's Ian as well. Evening, boys. Great to see you, Martin. It is, as I said, it is great to have you back involved. Let's have a look at what's going on, because I know you've been keeping a very close eye on proceedings. We're only, 6 games in? But who's impressed you? Who hasn't impressed you? And who are you expecting great things from this year?
I mean, the obvious team that stands out in terms of being impressive is Stanley, I would say. I think Vikings have always had that in them. Badgers have often been on good runs before. Dimble, we know what he's doing. So if we're working our way down the table in that way, I think Stanley in 4th is probably the surprise package of let's say the days of the season. I mean, we're not that far in, but yeah, indeed, Stanley definitely been impressive. It's certainly the results. I mean, I'm not sure if the football has been the best. Certainly, they're not like super exciting games, but getting 11 points from 6 is pretty good. A pretty good return for sure.
And like myself, you've had the odd fleeting visit into management, and you can sympathise maybe with teams like Sloth, sort of down the bottom end of the table. Do you see Alf turning it round? You've known Alf for a while now.
I mean, he's had sides in the past that have gone on like pretty good runs and finished in decent positions. I mean, going back to the early days, it was even in a final, if I'm not mistaken. Like this is really early, like before my time even, but for sure. And some of the earlier Astor teams have had decent results as well. I'm kind of hoping he goes back to old school and like the super narrow and this kind of stuff, and tries to stick with something for like 4 or 5 games and just see what happens. But yeah, I think he'll pick up a couple of points along the way for sure. A couple of wins rather along the way, definitely. It's a bit of an eclectic mix of players in the squad anyway, and he's gonna take a bit of time to figure out who he wants to use and where he wants to use them. But I think he can pick something up for sure. I'm not saying it's gonna be like top 10, but they'll have fun. He'll have fun with the squad.
Was there any particular game you wanted to start with, or are we just going to roll and see what the game decides?
I think we can just roll, to be honest, Fyfie. I think I mean, of course, there's the grudge match with with Haggis and the Badgers, but we can leave that for whenever it comes up. It's no big deal.
Okay, let's start at the beginning then, and we are starting big. Sancte versus Northern Burn. Two of the big characters in the league, two of the big sides in the league, and two sides who, again, bearing in mind it is early days, they won't be too concerned at their position, but maybe at least in the terms of Burn, maybe thinking they could and should be higher.
Yeah, not off to the best of starts, but as you mentioned, it's not really the worst. I mean, 2 defeats for Burn and 2 for Sancte. I mean, it's probably more than both managers were hoping for at this stage, but it's 6 games in, and maybe some of the players are still settling in. I think Ian's probably not going to make many changes to the lineup or anything for the next 20 games or whatever, but it's still a couple of days in, and if he picks up an injury, I mean, or suspension, for example, with Keane tonight, yeah, then he's going to have to swap things around a little bit. But none of the managers will be worried at the start that they've made, to be honest.
Just seeing what's going on in the chat. We've got a name for the new Badgers assistant manager. Welcome, Neil. Enjoy the product. Enjoy your time with us. Let's have some fun. And of course, with you firmly in charge of Badgers later tonight, let's cause some chaos as well. Why not? Alf asking when Fee goes back. It is the final of the Oceania Cup tonight, so he should be back for your next game. Yes, as Duggan says there as well, milestone for Mr. Edwards tonight, his 300th game in charge. When you consider league games or league seasons are only 26, to get to 300 is mightily impressive.
Well, he has been here a while, to be fair. I think starting with BTEC not long
Yeah.
before I joined as well in season 3, 4, whatever it was, and then having been here sort of ever since, and never made any kind of like attempts to bring in an assistant. And he's as you know, and as I know, Ian's not really keen on other people messing around with his team in
No,
any capacity.
certainly isn't.
So he doesn't take lightly to suggestions to that. So and fair play to him. I mean, complete legend. Obviously, all of the graphic works and everything that he does is huge for everyone involved. So yeah, hopefully for him, he can get a good result here in his 300th game.
The only change from their last game is Keane is unavailable, so Takanadi comes in that holding midfield role. Not an awful replacement to have, is it?
No, absolutely not. Takinadi, I think, is usually a solid performer across the DM line. Whether you play with 1, 2, or 3 of the central DMCs, then I think he does well in all of them, even with an arrow. If you play with 3 and shifts into midfield because of his passing and everything. So yeah, I don't think it's a. I mean, of course, the with Keane being out, it's going to be some kind of a loss, but he does have a relatively adequate replacement.
Absolutely. Let's have a look at the home side then, who are without Gatos for this game. New signing Kuto is in, but not in the 15, if I do my maths right. They make one change then. Gallardo comes in on the left wing with Reyes taking the place on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit surprised. I mean, Arkel, I don't know, to be honest, I haven't really checked his average ratings or whatever, but I thought that if he brought in the Portuguese fella, I thought he might have been throwing him in at the deep end instead of Argel, just because I don't know anything about this guy. So, but who knows? 7 average from 6 game. I mean, his attributes look better, but I would have thrown in the Couto, or was it Couto, the guy that he brought in. I would have probably thrown him in, but just to see what happens. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. Gallardo is probably the weak link on the left, but he is only a replacement. Apart from that, he has a very, very strong squad. Of course, I'm not a fan of the Cypriot waiter, Constantino, but he scored last time out, so it's difficult to bench him, I guess. So yeah, a good squad, and I think Duggan's put a lot of effort into all of this, and yeah, he's in a good position, I think, and they could actually. They're in with a decent shout of spoiling the anniversary, I think.
Can I tempt you to a score prediction for this first game?
I think I don't know. I'm thinking 1-1 draw. I don't know if the home side will squeeze it, but I'm thinking a 1-1 draw.
Okay, let's see if you are correct. Plenty of orange after a quick start by the home side. Bern playing their way into it. Sancte certainly have looked decent of late as well. So this could be a very, very good game to start off with. It could equally be one of those where 2 quality sides cancel each other out. But Gallardo has lasted half an hour before going off injured. Reyes is the ready-made replacement, but it's not ideal for Duggan, is it, if his first 2 choice left wingers are now unavailable?
No, especially as none of the replacement really have any defensive qualities. I know it's not the end of the world. They do play an attacking role, but I feel as if there's some defending still to be done out on the wing, to be honest. But we'll see if it impacts the game in any way.
Absolutely.
I mean, he is up against Mike Duff on that flank, so.
Mike Duff, who's been in quality form, by the way, an 833 rating for the first 6 games. Half time, and as I kind of mentioned, it looks like 2 good sides cancelling each other out. Not exactly the classic we were hoping for.
Not hugely exciting. I thought there were more shots than that, to be fair, but I can't really argue with the numbers. So yeah, I mean, I won't say I drifted off in the first half, but apart from the injury, there wasn't really many talking points.
No, absolutely. Despite that, decent match ratings for the home side at halftime, with the exception of your best mate who's on a 6.
Indeed. I mean, I didn't expect anything else from him, but we'll see if Duggan probably as is, I'm guessing. Yeah, not much to change. Oh, that
Yeah,
doesn't look
both
great.
managers going as is. Takanadi, not exactly shining in his deputy role there, rating a 5 at
Oh,
halftime.
yeah, but what should he do? I mean, there isn't really a super obvious change that he could make there. So, but no, yeah, maybe at 60, if someone gets a goal, they'll do something.
Well, we resume the action to the 60-minute mark, and there's the goal for Northern Burn.
Oh,
Ortega on 53 minutes, giving the away side the lead, and they have an attacking set piece as we stop for the 60-minute mark. Yeah, it's still largely uneventful, but Burn just have that in their locker, don't they? Someone will always pop up when it's needed.
true, they do. I mean, I think Duggan's going to have to do something here. They've not created anything at all. He does have an attacking option on the bench in the Maklas, but we'll see what he does tactically. Could also push Ronaldinho up, I guess.
No, absolutely. Ian, without even seeing his
I'm
team,
presuming,
has
yeah.
gone as is.
Well, with Raymer and Palermo on the bench, I mean, and leading 1-0, I mean, you're not going to make any huge changes there, are you? So, but we'll see what Duggan does.
And here is the word from Sancte. So push Ambrosini and Ndai into midfield. No problem. No arrows and done. So no subs, just a slight tactical change.
It's a solid formation as well. Maybe putting a little bit more pressure on that midfield and see if they can dominate
Just
possession.
for the benefit of Ian, he's already said he's going as is, but a quick look at his stats as well. Did you see that tactical change getting Sancte back in it? Oh, it's done it.
Yes.
Buffon was rooted to the spot.
With the benefit of hindsight, yes, Fyfie, I do.
And there's Skulls to regain the lead for the away side. It's ending exciting. They waited till the last half an hour to make it worthwhile. Inzaghi, great tackle though. We're into the final few minutes. It's Reyes. Constantini was offside. 3 minutes being added on. Totti picks it up. And now Fiore and Duff. Saved by Khan. Let's run free. Skulls. Surely. And Skulls wraps it up for Northern Burn. 3-1 on the night now. And are they going for a fourth? Skulls looking for a hat-trick, of course. Duff, Fiore, Skulls. But he's put it wide. He saw his name in lights. And can Sancte get a consolation, maybe? And Dye's been called over, yellow card. And there's the full-time whistle. And it is 3 goals on the 300th game for Ian. And a quick look at the match stats. You can't argue that the away side probably deserved the points.
Yeah, I mean, a much better second half performance. I'm not sure if the tactical change that Duggan ended up making actually gave a little bit more freedom to some of the Northern Burn players rather than making it in their favor to allow them to dominate the possession. So I mean, clinical finishing. Scholes with was it Scholes who got a double there after Ronaldinho pulled one back or equalized just after the break. But overall, I think in the second half, Northern Burn had that under control, didn't they?
Yeah, they certainly did. I mean, you look at these numbers on the screen, it's not a terrible performance by any stretch of the imagination by the home team. It's just Burn had that sprinkling of extra quality where they needed it.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, I think in my pre-match notes, I had a comment about Oliver Kahn and the importance that he maybe would have for Sancte long term. Yeah, I mean, he gets a 7, but he should probably be on an 8 and stopping a couple of those in a game like this. And he's not off to the best of starts really. But we'll see if is it Filimonov? Is that their backup keeper? I
Yes.
don't know if he's likely to get a run, but he'll probably stick with Khan at least for the time being.
No, definitely. And as for Burn, I mean, Mike Duff there was always going to get man of the match with a 10 out of 10 performance, wasn't he?
Yeah, because when you look at his pass completion, it's maybe surprising, but he has got the 2 assists and a solid defensive display, I guess, as well. So, yeah, probably presumably well deserved, and won't do his average any harm either. Montero with 11 tackles, 10 of them won, is also a solid reason there.
Duggan fretting about what might happen on the left-hand side now with Shorkatos and Gallardo out. Ian saying Cosmin, who congratulations to Northern Burn, who kick off the night with a victory. Next up, we are going to Foss Road and they host Fulchester. Smuts infamously saying he will only get any success at home. So this game is crucial for them. But the big news this week was last time out when they drew with Burn, Riquelme went off injured early doors, 12th minute, and he is out for 3 months with a torn groin muscle. Big loss for Foss Road, who are also without Van der Vaart tonight, who, despite not having any sort of injury box, is lacking some significant fitness ahead of this game. So the central of midfield really causing Smuts a problem. He's altered the tactic. He's gone to the Louis Theroux Cat version 2. And I mean, I'm not going to say it's not an inspiring midfield, but with the exception of Vieira, Helguera does a very good job in defensive midfield, but Dalmat and Maresca are supposed to be the creative influences on this side.
I don't see that going anywhere. I think Dalmat has been sort of like thrown about like a dog toy a couple of times in the Super League, and no one's really ever gotten anything out of him. Maresca at AMC or with the arrow to AMC, I don't really. But if those are his options, then I guess. I mean, could Titov not have played? I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's his decision, but I would have probably done something slightly different there. It's a big miss, especially as he mentioned himself that he's kind of like built his squad around Riquelme and all of this. So yeah, that's going to be an issue for them if he's out for 3 months for sure.
As Jens knows there, Bishkan has a bid in. He is heading towards East Coast. The injury to Riquelme, for anyone who listened or watched the latest Late Limbs episode will know, Smuts had to completely disregard his transfer policy in an attempt to ratify his lack of midfield options. So Bishkan going to Coast with Alex coming in and a new out-of-league signing, hopefully in time for the next game. Do you see Alex improving this squad when he arrives?
Yes, but that's because it's really quite poor in that particular area. Under normal circumstances, I probably wouldn't say so, but he doesn't have a lot to play with. Van der Vaart is, can be a little bit hit and miss, especially in the early seasons. And then he has Riquelme, who's out injured, but the rest of them in any kind of attacking capacity in midfield, slim pickings. So yes, Alex will definitely be an improvement in some way here.
As for Fulchester, their increasing injury list for attackers was added to with Arjen Robben being unavailable. Serginho takes his place in midfield, with Tudor taking the place on the bench. Other than that, it's as is for Macca's team.
Yeah, I mean they need to bounce back after rolling over for Jens last time out. I don't think that was really necessary, but they are good friends, so I'm not gonna start calling anyone names or anything like that. Yeah, the attacking options. I mean, you're looking at it and then you're thinking, oh my goodness, and then you see the injuries and you know why. Relying on Archie back has not always proven a successful strategy in the past, but I mean, it might work out for him. Hasn't so far, to be honest. So, but we'll see.
Ronaldo's been in decent form this season, and Macca's kind of built his reputation on taking these star names that no one else can really get a tune out of and proving that they can actually cut it. So could this be Ronaldo's year to really have an R9 season?
I mean, it could be. It's got to be an improvement on his Chris Sutton, or who he normally relies on for for shock effect and comedy value and goals. But 4 goals in 6 is a super return. I mean, I don't think we've seen that kind of numbers from him before. So if it continues into 10 games, then yeah, he could definitely have a proper R9 season there.
Okay, well, let's go to Match Centre then, as I ask you once again for a score prediction, please.
For this one, I've got a score draw. I think there'll be a couple of goals in this one.
Okay.
For either side, or for both sides rather.
Early yellow card handed out there. Looks like Foss Road are trying to apply early pressure and start quickly. A couple of saves there, keeping Fulchester level. And the danger for Foss is that they don't take these chances while they're on top, and Fulchester can punish them. Frey is saving everything at it. He's putting in a Barthez level performance in this first half so far. Surely this time, no, another one wasted by the home side. And again, can't emphasize, Fulchester cannot be this sort of lackluster. And there's Hoffland just before half-time, giving the home side the lead. Fulchester need a shot in the arm, but there's Clivert, and a quick fire double gives Foss Road, before I click the match stats, probably a deserved lead, because it looks like Frey was the only Fulchester player touching the ball. 9 attempts, 8 on target in that first half. Smuts might be a little bit disappointed. It's only 2, Martin.
Yeah, you probably will be. I mean, they could have put that to bed, really. Not saying that it isn't. I mean, of course, it's Colchester will have to come up with something special to turn that around after that first half performance. But yeah, overall, he'll be happy with that for sure.
Yeah, some brilliant performances, including that of Kevin Hoffland, who opened the scoring. He's rating a 9 at halftime. Nobody on the pitch below a 7, and no real areas of fitness concern either. For those who've been paying attention to the Oceania Cup, that's a massive goal for Clivert, because GW7 is very much playing his way into form on the international scene. So Clivert needed that goal as well.
Yeah, he did. Although Smart said on the late limbs that he was only third choice behind Heskey, I think. Although
yeah,
McLowan and yeah, but we don't know. But anyway, yeah, no, it's good to get your striker scoring, of course, definitely, and an assist for Sir Roberto as well. I think he's another one of those that can, once he gets going, could be a real asset to the team as well.
Absolutely. Complete opposite for Fulchester. Archie Back that you mentioned, the skipper, he's on a 5 at halftime, as is Gattuso. A whole host of 6s in that list as well. Frey, the best player for the away side, he's rating an 8. Couple of yellow cards in there as well. So Mac is going to have to think here, isn't he?
Yeah, he's gonna have to do something. I just noticed on the chat that he's doing a couple of subs, I think. I mean, Gattuso with a 5, that's unusual to see. Back with a 5, no, it's not. It's not good at all, is it?
So it's Gattuso.
And here comes Chris Sutton.
Back for Sutton, and swap with Ronaldo. And then he's also put Donny into CM. So we're going something that looks a little bit like this. Alf offering some sympathy. I know how you're feeling when 2 down, Chris. Have to keep going, though. It's very rare you see anyone call him Chris, isn't it? Everyone just refers to him as Macca, but Alf going with the gentleman's approach of first names only.
Yeah, it reminds me of those kind of like rugby referee compilation videos where you see like oh, what's his name? The Welsh guy, and he's like talking to some like 200-kilo muscle monster, and he's like, Christopher, and then asking him politely to sit down.
Do you see those alterations getting Fulchester back in the game?
I think they have a slightly better chance in the second half. They might pull one back, but I do think that the home side are gonna stick to it and get the win.
How Foss Road have not gone free up there, I do not know. But there it is, yeah. Clivert with his 5th of the season, and that must wrap up the points with 30 minutes to go. A nice, easy stroll through another home game for Foss Road.
Yeah, proving us wrong here, or proving me wrong anyway. I mean, fair enough, Maresca and Dalmat are the 2 players who are doing absolutely nothing, but everyone else is definitely chipping in and doing well. So maybe slight not injury, but fitness concern on El Guerra there, and Jakub, who could come in, but we'll see what he does.
Macca's going to go free up top. Donny and Gerard are moving up to centre midfield as well. Tudor defensive mid on his own. So we'll make those alterations in just a second. Smuts is considering. 3 DMs dusted, says Ian in the chat as well. This will be a tough one for Maka, won't it? Because if I remember correctly, just while I wait for Smuts there. Yeah, it was a difficult day out last time as well against Vikings. So this is two big defeats in a row. So I know he's been the story this season is he's been told that the starting formation is the one that he should be playing if he wants success. He traded all his football ideologies to match up what people were doing, and it's just not quite happening for him. Do you think he'll go back to doing things his way?
I mean, he had a relatively successful kind of formula, and as I mentioned with Alf as well in the introduction to the show, I think it's something to stick with. I mean, if you've got a club personality and sort of an ethos at the team, then stick with it. And if you win, you win, and if you don't, you don't. I mean, that's just how it is. It's we can't all win.
No, this is very true. So we're going 3 up top, and Gerard and Donny with Tony there on his own. So there are the changes. You fear it's too little, too late, but maybe that 3 up top could just cause Foss a little bit of problems.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, I still think they will hold on, but Fulchester might get one back.
Smuts saying, I'd love to say this has all gone to plan, but it's pure fluke. Well, Mac has already said, well played. Yet again, the gaslighting from other managers to keep me down bears fruit. So it's everyone else's fault but his. Half an hour to play. We resume. Foss Road are really going for the jugular here. They want a 4th. And then from there, they'll possibly even be looking for a 5th. Time's gone by, though. We're approaching the end. They're not taking their foot off the gas, though. And there is the 4th. And Brett Ellerton with his first of the season. It looks like Downwat may have picked up an injury, celebrating. Possibly the only thing he's done all game. But Foss Road 4, Fulchester 0. Not quite the score draw with a couple of goals for each team you might have been expecting. But an entertaining game.
I didn't see that. My goodness. I didn't see that coming. I did not see that result coming as well. So well played to Smuts and the boys at Foss Road for sure. And yeah, hard luck. I mean, they rolled over for Jens last week, and clearly they haven't rolled back, because that's not a good performance from Fulchester. He's got to have to rethink and change things up, I think, for next time out.
When you consider the absentees that we were talking about, I mean, for both teams, really, it's a great result for Foss Road, considering 2 of their probably more integral players were unavailable. Fulchester missing all that attacking talent. You see the chances they've created. If they had the other players available, maybe it could have been a different outcome.
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, I think that the defensive worries in this particular case are probably bigger. It can be difficult to be up against these kind of like narrowish formation, wide formations. I don't know how much managers actually look into that and try and second guess each other and who does what these days, or if they just pick a tactic and consider it from their own perspective. But yeah, there's something not quite right at the back at that Fulchester side. The striking options, they will come back from injury, so maybe he's not too worried about not scoring goals. But conceding 4 is and picking up a ton of yellows as well, or not a ton, but a couple of yellows at the back there is not ideal.
So yeah, that's 7 goals conceded in the last 2 games, when you consider they'd only conceded 2 in the previous 4.
Yeah. No, not entirely sure what has happened there, but Macca will have a look and get back to winning ways shortly, I'm sure.
Next up, we head to Dudley Hill, who entertain the Vikings. Big game in the top 6 early doors. This one, just the one change it is for Dudley Hill from their last game, with Milewski coming in for Soroczynski in that DM line. Soroczynski goes to the bench. Comandini continues to lead the line with Luca Toni on the bench. Steve, another man you've known for quite a while, Martin. Do you think he's kind of back to that measured title winner, Steve, or is he still got, if he has a couple of bad results, he's still got that sort of madman approach where he can completely write his own season off?
A bit of both, really. I think he's more maybe stable is the wrong word, but he's less likely to throw everything out the window and start from scratch. Writing off his own season, yes, for sure he could he could be prone to doing that, but it might have less of an impact on the squad, more on his sort of mood and his enthusiasm.
No, absolutely. But what I would say is, again, Comodini, not always a first choice striker of the Super League, but he's done well for Dudley Hill since coming in. And Joe Cole, he's getting performances out of him. And it's also interesting to see people debate the wing backs versus wingers thing. And Steve's doing it really well. He's got two of arguably the greatest wing backs available, and he's just playing them as out and out wingers.
Yeah, it can definitely work. I mean, I say it can work. All of these things can work at some point. We've obviously seen, I think, looking back historically, we've probably seen the biggest amount of success for teams that play with the wing backs with either the short or long arrows. But there's a lot to be said for wide midfielders as well. I mean, I think it's also been a relatively successful tactic, but then it becomes really more about the players that you have there. I feel as if at the wing backs we've seen people like at DMR, the Estebaria has done good stuff. Ryan Giggs plays well at DML with a long arrow as well. Whereas once we get into the MLs and the MRs, then it becomes a little bit more about the players that are fewer players that I think perform really well in those positions. But Dede and Contra, I mean, Dede should definitely, and Contra as well. They both have really good attributes going forward. So it should, in theory, work for Dudley.
Vikings are without Balmer for this game. So Kaladze comes in on the left with Boomer taking the place on the bench. That was the only change. Sitting top of the league at this time. They've got the fancy Diag in the midfield as well. I mean, Baumer's obviously a loss, but Kaladze's a more than able deputy, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I mean, you could argue that Baumer's probably a little bit more effective going forward, but then you have a slightly stronger sort of defensive game for in Kaladze there. With a long arrow, maybe he'll be a little bit less effective than Baumer, but as you mentioned, he's an adequate replacement. And the diagonal arrow seems to work for some people. I seem to remember you having a diagonal arrow on one of your DMCs back in the day into that MC role, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
that's quite right.
It can be effective for sure.
And just a word, if I might, on the Vikings centre-back partnership, who individually, attributes-wise, very good centre-backs, never really hit it off in the Super League. They're never really considered among the real elite centre-backs like the Cannavaros or the Nestors. But for Vikings, early days this season have sort of stumbled across this as a partnership, and they're just sticking two fingers up to the rest of the Super League saying, we do know how to defend and we're going to show you how we do it.
Yeah, it's something I've never fully understood, to be honest, in this game, the centre-backs and their performances. I mean, very, very often I've been looking at centre-backs with really super attributes and thinking they should really do a great job putting them together. Should the left-footed guy play on the left and the right-footed guy on the right, or either-footed players or whatever? And whenever I stumble on a good working partnership where they both end up with like 7.5 averages or better, that's pure luck. That's just dumb luck. Some youth player gets promoted and I go, oh, he looks okay, play him, and it works out well. I don't know what the key is to this, but well done for Vikings to sticking with the lottery and eventually finding someone who's a couple of players who work well together.
Steve saying the CC was top draw in the White Rose days. A score prediction for this one, please.
I've gone 2-1 away.
2-1 away, and Thierry Henry not messing about. Early goal for the away side. Dudley Hill looking to strike back quickly. Plenty of blue and yellow text here since going a goal down. But Vikings on the counter, trying to relieve the pressure themselves. Yellow card for the goal scorer, Henry. I'm interested in your thoughts as Rustico goes on the bench. I brought it up a couple of streams ago about this being the first year in quite a while that someone's trusted Henry to be that leading man, and whether you think he can do it consistently in the Super League, because he's never really found a home and never really put in the level of performances that he is for Vikings. I mean, that's now 7 in 7.
shocking, to be honest. he's he's always been a little bit of a on the periphery. I mean, as mentioned, he did score the winning goal in I think the first final that I hosted against Valen. I think they won 1-0. I know that he's had good games at Bern as well. Ian used him coming in, and even at I think he played him maybe even at AMC occasionally, and
Yeah.
he's kind of been floated about and done okay, but he's never been a starter. And he's never been a starter anywhere that I remember. But I mean, fair play to Jens for taking a gamble and sticking with him, and it's so far paying off, as you say, 6-6. I mean, we don't see those numbers even for the great players in the Super League who or in the great players of the game. Yeah, it's difficult to see. We had a Maxim season not long ago. Rossini has had a +20 season. There are not many +20 goal scoring seasons in the Super League in
No.
history for
You're
sure.
quite right. It's a rare feat to get 20s, and this is why like the Golden Boot race normally doesn't become a race towards the end, because if you get someone getting sort of 16, 17, 18, there's not normally a second one chasing him all the way, is there?
No, exactly. Did you not have Impenta with the devil side, and he
Yeah.
was threatening to score 30 and ended up in sort of reasonable numbers, but nothing like completely out of this world. So
Yeah.
I think if memory serves, which
No, I think you're right. And I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, and one of the much more knowledgeable Super League historians will say, I think even the year we won it, I think he finished second in the goal scoring race. I think he got
oh,
like
I think
18
so, yeah.
and I want to say maybe a Sigalko or something got 19. And it was
Yeah,
like, so we
I
won
think
it and he
so.
wasn't even the top goal scorer.
I think he was on it. Yeah, I think he was on like a high number fairly early on. But anyway,
And
someone
then
can
just
dig that
stopped
information
scoring.
out.
Yeah. No, he did. He stopped scoring because I
Someone will
changed
be
my
able to dig
tactic and
that
everything.
out.
So Stee has gone as is, as has Jens till 60. So no changes. Omri, the only player in the book for the away side, Rustico for the home side. Let's see how it plays out as we head towards 60. A pile driving effort from Dudley Hill. The home side really trying to get this leveler. Will they get it before the tactics break? 156 now. And there it is from Comandini. And then 10 minutes jumps past with nothing happening at all. We stop it on around about 68. But Comandini, again, I mentioned him in the intro, Martin, and he carries on. I mean, we're talking about on restats. That's now, that'll be 4 in 6 starts for Comandini. That's not a bad record either.
It's not at all. Battle of the unfancied strikers going well for both sides here tonight. So yeah, good to see Comandini doing some stuff here.
On that train of thought, it's nice that we're in season 15 and there are still players staking a claim for Super League reputation, isn't it? It's not like we're just recycling the same 11s.
Exactly. I mean, I think with the size of the database, so hats off to Dimble, to Make a Horse, to whoever has been involved in the past with creating databases and picking out all of these players. I mean, hats off to you guys. It's an amazing work. I did the legwork on the original one, but I didn't pick all of the players. But to have so many to choose from is also why it can be so successful in terms of like finding new players. I mean, no one would have picked Lassisi to be like an integral part of a very successful defense in season 15, like I don't know how many years ago. Yeah, so Comandini as well. So that definitely size of the database does this definitely.
Steve went as is, so we're just looking at the Vikings team here. And the one thing that jumped out early to me, Pavel Brozek in that influential AM role, 5 rating on 71 minutes.
Yeah, it's not looking great. I noticed that Kalata was already as well down to like, was it Kalata who was down to 80 fitness anyway? I think he'll probably stick with them. But I can see that Jens are making some changes. Shimkoviag is coming on and Boomer for Kalata. Yeah, he noticed that as well.
Let's see if the changes affect things. 20 minutes to play in this game. And look at that, it's just flown up to 85. Are we going to get late drama? No is the answer.
No.
that game just wanted to finish. It was a decent contest. It was an even contest. I'm probably right that it ended in a draw.
Yeah, I think so. It's one of those things where you're probably going to say both managers are going to be pretty happy that we're coming away with the point with so few chances and time sort of skipping on. You just don't want to be the one who concedes the inevitable deciding goal. So I think they'll probably take the draw here.
Steve calling it the year. Steve Smuts calling it the year of the centre forward. Rustico picked up man of the match for his performance despite the yellow card. Good, some decent performances in those numbers there. To be fair to Dudley Hill.
Yeah, solid defensive performance. Always nice to see. I mean, it's not always about the assists and the goals. So Rustico getting man of the match is nice for him to see. I'm just looking at if there's any kind of like key passes. There weren't that many of them, so maybe that's sort of impacting it a little bit as well. But yeah, solid performance for everyone, and of course defensively they were quite strong. Presume we'll see something similar over on the Vikings side.
Jens saying 7 from the 3 away games. Happy with that. Good game. Steve pointing out Van Bommel again for his performance. Let's have a look over at the Vikings team. Very impressive performance from Cafu. Some of the other ratings not quite as good. And maybe Chiotis deserves some recognition for his performance in the end.
Yeah, surprised to see Rio Ferdinand with only one tackle out of the 4 he attempted. Good in the air and passing not the worst, still ending up on a 6. And the Cece's performance his numbers doesn't look like they would be a 6, but the game hands out numbers the way that it does, so we will just have to accept it. But Kiotis for sure with a decent impact on the game there as well. Shimkoviak and Burma didn't do much when they came on, but we saw that the last 20 odd minutes there nothing really happened there.
Next up, we go to Los Santos versus Sloths. Big game this, 12th versus 14th. Alf's the only team, without a win so far this season. Still without Figo, among a couple of others who I've since dropped to the reserves for squad reasons. Bobby Petter comes in this altered tactic. Christian Vaughan's partners Kivu at the back. Still trying to get Trezeguet and Penza to work as a partnership. No attacking midfielder.
Interesting. I guess he's not the only manager who plays without an outright AMC, but Zetterberg. Yeah, I don't know. I would maybe play Luis Enrique. They're not bad players. I'm just not sure that this is really going to work. I mean, Bobby Petter, okay. Yeah. Who knows? It's I would do something different. But Alf said it. I noticed Alf said in the chat that he would try to go narrow. If it fails, he will take my advice. I think it could be done a little bit differently. I'm not sure this lineup and tactic will bring a lot of success, but I could be wrong. I've been wrong before for sure.
Well, Jamie's side are without influential defender Paolo Maldini, and that has seen a slight tactical alteration because the fit again Lee Bowyer comes in and LSK go 1 at the back. Is this kind of looking at Alf as the winless side and thinking he could really play some of his players into form here?
I mean, I think he really slogged it out with Badgers. I think that was both teams had like 15 shots or something like that last week, didn't they? Los Santos and Badgers, and only 1 goal in the game as well. So I think this is Jamie going.
That's because Barthez has been in scary form.
Yeah, I mean, super good for Gazelles as well with the short time that I was involved in it, and with Dan as well. We were kind of like relying quite heavily on his performances, so that's good to see that he's still there. So I think Jamie's just going to go. I'm going to put Henshaw at the back, Super League winner. What can go wrong? Bartes super in goal, and then just hope that the goals will pour in. But I mean, that's maybe what's going to be a chance for Alf here, that he only has 1 at the back for Los Santos. So it'll be very interesting to see. There should be goals in this one for sure.
Well, you're predicting goals, but how many are you predicting, please?
Oh, I'll say 4, and 3 of them to the home side.
So a 3-1 home win is a prediction, and an early chance there for the home side wasted. And Penza getting involved for the away side. But there it is, Pizarro on 5 minutes, making it 1-0 to the home team. And they are flooding forward looking for a second. Can Sloss withstand this pressure and get themselves back in the game? Lots and lots of black and white text. Trezeguet denied a great goal by Barthez. And still the home side come flying forward looking for this second. They just cannot put the ball in the net. There it is, Diego Tristan. No, it's been ruled out. Is that a reprieve for the away team? Barthez lets one run free. Sloss failed to convert. We get to half time. It was pulsating, Martin. It was very quick, and it was 1-0 to the home team.
Yeah, I mean, it looked a little bit more dominant than the 5-3 in terms of shots on goal there. I mean, I did recognize a couple of chances for the Sloss, but I thought Los Santos had more, to be honest. They certainly had more of the ball from what I could see. And if you look further down on the passes completed, tackles won, headers won, that looks as if they're dominating in that area. So
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
Jamie will still be nervous because they only got the one goal, the other one being disallowed, but they were definitely on top in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, Tristan went in the book. He had a goal disallowed. He's on a 6 rating. It's not been a great night for him, but solid ratings throughout the rest of the team. Maybe looking at Didier Agat, thinking he should be seeing a bit more of the ball on that right hand side, or is I'm just looking
Yeah.
for I'm just looking on where is he on the other side? Why can't I see his name? I mean, Bronco seeing plenty. Bowyer's doing well since coming back in as well. Liz Razoo, rating wise, not as high as a gap, but seeing plenty more of the ball. So maybe they're focusing on that left hand side from their perspective.
Yeah, maybe Agat also. He's on the. Aha, indeed. Yeah, so he's also up against quality opposition, of course, but he's still getting the 8. I see Jamie's going for a swap on the attackers there, getting Tristan off.
He certainly is. As for Sloss, let's see if we can try and predict what the maverick that is Alf is going to do here. Decent performance from Ronnie Johnson in that DM role, but he's the only player rating an 8. 6s and 7s throughout the rest. Etzeberia on the yellow card. No one a fitness worry. Everyone with the exception of Trezeguet maybe, who's dropped to 83. Everyone else above 90. You mentioned Luis Enrique. He's on the bench. Alan Smith also an attacking option. Should he be required?
Yeah, I'll throw both of them on. I mean, he's probably carrying a small knock, Trezeguet, but I'll just continue to play him probably. But I'd probably put Luis Enrique in. I mean, I know he's not always been the most fancied player, and it's difficult to get stuff out of him, but I would throw him on for sure.
Well, he is being thrown on, and he's going behind the front too in a slight tactical alteration for Alf. Do you like the look of that?
Yeah, I like that better, to be honest. I think the back four that he's got there, Hibu, Burns, Johnson, and Sari, they are solid enough. And then Super League winner Matty Holland in the
Yes.
alone in
Super
MC,
League legend.
and Luis Enrique with the arrow. It's gonna be it's gonna be better than in the first half. So let's see what happens with those changes.
Okay. Well, that looks to be the only one for Alf. So let's resume the action and go to 60. 10 minutes goes by with nothing happening. Sloss have the first chance of the half. And there's the equaliser. And it's Bobby Petter with his first ever goal for Sloss. Bobby Petter has levelled things up for the away side. What an inspirational change that is by the manager.
Yeah, I mean, dominating Didier Agat and now getting the goal as well. That's something. That's something else. We'll see what Jamie does in response to this. I'm not sure he could do much. I mean, put Guerrero on because he's a bit of a maverick, and there's only 20 minutes left, so he probably won't be injured. Although there is a decent chance, of course, with him. But that would be my longer arrows on wings, like he's saying. I think.
He is indeed. So we will do the longer arrows. And forward arrows on the MC. So he is trying to really put the pressure on Sloths and send people forward in search of this goal. But happy with the team on the pitch. As for Sloths, Alf already making a change without seeing the ratings. Vaughan's there on a 5. That'll be a bit of a disappointment. But Trezeguet is being taken off, perhaps because of his condition. Alan Smith coming on. What do you make of Alan Smith in the Super League?
Alf likes him. Other people occasionally rate him as well. I'm not a huge fan, but he has the attributes to be able to score goals, and I know that people occasionally get a bunch of goals out of him on home saves. So it's fair enough to give him a run. He's had a couple of good seasons in the Super League in the past, sort of 9-10 goal season, I'm sure.
Yep. Yeah, no, definitely. So you've seen the changes, you've seen the tactical alterations with 25 minutes left to play. How do you think this game ends up?
Oh, it might stay at 1-1.
Alf predicting that they will concede again. Into the final 10 minutes, Vasilyuk with a great chance. 84 now, Pizarro. I'm Vasilyuk off the bar. He's been doing so well in training, keeps getting rave reviews from the assistant, but just not quite taking his chances here. Now Zari Smith on the half volley, but Bartes with a save. Petr floats in, but Lizarazu clears into stoppage time. Are we going to get late drama in this game? At the bottom of the table, Sauri, Petr! Oh, it's a terrible effort. A gap now, Boya, Pizarro. Are they going to steal it at the death? Aymar! Saved! And Vaughan's is able to clear. And there's the final whistle. So close to late drama, but a crucial point for Sloths to move them, not move them off the bottom, but to just move them away from where they have been for some time now. And maybe signs of recovery.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Alf says good point in the chat, and it's definitely a good point for them because after the Los Santos performance against Badgers, they really looked as if they deserved to come in with and get a win here against on the paper certainly a weaker side. But yeah, they stood strong in the second half, and Petr got the goal, much to my surprise. But yeah, good to see, I mean, Jamie will be raging again. The numbers, I mean, 8s and 9s across the board, and they don't win. Yeah, it's frustrating.
It certainly is. A player I'm a big fan of, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, picking up man of the match for his performance. But as you say, Lizarazu put in a very good performance as well. 8s littered throughout the team. In fact, I'm just looking at the team there, and only Aymar, that started the game and finished it, rated a 7. Everyone else was higher. So very impressive performance, just not quite enough on the night for LSK. As for Sloss, Alephopoulos putting in a great performance between the sticks, proving the fight Zaire as Ronnie Johnson continued to impress. And Penza tried his best as well, but perhaps not quite getting the service he requires.
Yeah, perhaps not. Good to see Estebaria getting the assist. I'm a fan of him on that right hand side. I think Kieran did it. It was the first one I saw doing it back in the day, playing him on the right, both up in the AMR role as well, but also further back. So good to see him getting a game time and actually getting on the board with an assist anyway. Yeah, overall, I mean, then you can start to have a conversation about the lone strikers or striking partnerships. Is Mpenza better on himself or with people behind him or next to him or whatever? But Alf can do a long home save test of where that's going to go in the future. So, but he'll be very happy with the point, I'm sure.
Just away from the Super League momentarily, I've had some information through. I recently shared that my other project, Fools Rush In, had been nominated for an award, and a few of the Super League guys were very kind and voted for us in that. News has just come through. Unfortunately, for the second year, we finished second in our category. But in the message I've had from the people who are running the awards, you finished second again, mate. But it was a cracking effort. You got over 800 votes this year, which is a massive effort. So appreciate anyone who took the time to vote for us. I was just delighted we got nominated. And to hear that we got over 800 votes, it tells you how good Jill's in the blood must be to have beaten that in a League 2 vote. So thank you very much for anyone who took the time to vote for us. I do appreciate it. And you never know. The content we put out in 2024 might mean that 2025 is our year.
It'll be your year. It's great to see like that like, let's be honest, niche product has at least you do stuff and 800 people go in and press a button to vote for you. That's kind of mental, but rewarding at the same time.
No, I mean, obviously it's a shame not to win, but the fact that I don't ever expect us to even get nominated for these things, like you say, to get that sort of recognition. I'm very, very proud of all the guys involved. Let's get back to the matter in hand, and the one that you said was the grudge match. The one that you've been looking forward to is next up. Haggis hosting Badgers, and some big team news from Haggis. Jacques dropped to the bench. Del Vecchio comes back in. He had a fantastic season last year, and he gets his first start of the season this time round against Badgers. Vieri back to partner Van Nistelrooy. Pires in as well on the wing, as well as a change in defensive midfield with Gomez coming in and Saeed moving out. And my friend Guigu drops out entirely. Very, very strong looking squad. Are you interested in Ian's decisions to make these changes for this game?
I mean, I don't know if he has any backroom staff these days. I mean, he used to.
He's got a full staff.
Oh, okay, right, okay. So I guess there's some method to the madness. I mean, they've not had the start that they were really hoping to have Haggis this season, I think. So switching things around, dropping people, putting new people in. I mean, it's still all to play for. They're definitely not, sort of lost their chance of a playoff spot. So any changes that he makes to see what sticks. Yeah, there might be some things that worked last season that won't work this season. Interesting attacking options there, Del Vecchio with the arrow, Vieri and Van Nistelrooy. But there should be goals in there. Whether he gets them or not is then a different story.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's have a look then at the Badgers team that's selected for this one. A full squad, a full complement of players to choose from, and from memory, I'm just double checking. It was just the one change with Klompe coming back in to the defence. Valgarin had been playing there for the last game or two, I believe, but Klompe is back, and partners Okoronkwo. Everything else remains the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's identical tactic. So a battle of the two people who don't like each other using the exact same tactic. That's kind of an interesting side story. So we'll see who has the most luck with it. I kind of hinted at the fact that I didn't think that Tato's problem was not having enough solid DMC. So bringing in Simeone maybe wasn't really. It was an answer, but it was an answer to a question that he didn't necessarily need to ask. But they've gotten off to a good start, so fair play to him, and it's a very strong line. Those three: Simeone, Desai, and Nicky Butt for sure. And he does have gigs on the left, which is always good.
Do you have a score prediction for this one, please?
For this one, I have a no-score draw, but both teams to get a player sent off.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll be a talking point, that's for sure. It looks like Badgers have started the quickest. I can see Giggs' name getting involved, but here come the home side. Plenty of time, opportunity wasted. Starting to level out a little bit. Both teams seeing a bit of the ball as we speed on to 35 minutes. And there's an offside as Haggis were building a good opportunity. Seeing Saviola's name and Rossini's name. Both sides attacking seemingly at will. And there's Van Nistelrooy. First goal of the season for Ruud Van Nistelrooy. And it comes on the stroke of half time against Badgers. That could be a critical goal, couldn't it?
Yeah. It seemed a little bit more interesting to me than those numbers would say. I thought both teams had the slightly more chances. I'm not entirely sure where the 18 free kicks come from. There doesn't seem to be that many yellow cards in there or offside. So maybe just, I don't know, an anomaly of some kind. But a decent first half. Haggis obviously the happier going into the break, 1-0 up. But Badgers are definitely not out of this.
No, certainly not. Let's have a look at the home team first then and see what's going on there. Solid ratings. Got 3 8s. Everyone else on a 7. Looking at condition, Pires there on 80 might be a consideration. But as you said, no yellow cards either. Ian should be quite content with what he's seen so far.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't think he will do anything. I think, oh no, he says assist to 60. So yeah, so that no need to panic there. Pires will probably pick up an injury in the second half if he doesn't sub him at 60. But apart from that, nothing to worry about. Good fitness everywhere else and a good solid performance.
Jens says 18 free kicks comes from the fact that there's 18 DMCs on the field, Martin.
Oh, the level of insight, absolutely. But he's right. He's right.
Badgers numbers not quite as impressive for them. They've got 3 players, Okoronkwo, Button, Klompe on a 7. Everyone else on the pitch on a 6. Saviola will definitely want to be seeing more of the ball as well. Condition-wise, nobody below 90, which is promising. No yellow cards either. So it'll be interesting to see whether any alterations are made. It's a strong bench, isn't it? Larson, Live, and Agahawa. There's definitely options there if needed.
He's got to pull Salihamidzic after that first half. I mean, how he has a 6, I don't know. I mean, he says keep the same, so I guess. But I mean, 5 completed passes out of 14 and nothing. Nah, yeah, maybe on 60. Oh, it's coming up quick.
Well, there's the first yellow card of the game, and there's another one, and it's for Nicky Butt. So a yellow card apiece. Other than that, not much happened in that 15-minute or just over 15-minute spell.
No, not a lot, unless Pires. 73 fitness. I mean, do you pull him or do you wait till he gets injured? I don't know. I mean,
I think when you've got Jacques on the bench,
happen, yeah?
I think when you've got Jacques on the bench, you pull him at this point. Personally,
yeah, he does. He does.
He does do that. It's nice when we know. It's almost as if we know what we're talking about when the managers do what we say they're going to do.
Almost as if we've done this 16 million times, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Although it doesn't feel like that at all.
No. It's not like we've both been in this position hundreds of thousands of times.
We still get things wrong, we should say. But
we do. As for Badgers, again, ratings not really improving that much. Just one player, Desai, moving from his 6 to a 7, but on the yellow card. Fitness-wise, they're still looking strong, though. When you look at that subs bench, what would you be doing to try and rectify the situation?
Swap one of the strikers. I'd get Henrik Larsson in maybe even instead of Nikiforenko, and then get Larsson in with that arrow. That he can definitely do some damage there. I'd put Agahawa in instead of Salihamidzic just because I don't like Salihamidzic and Agahawa. I think is RLC can play across. I don't think he'd do much better, but it's something.
Yeah. It's showing intent.
It needs to come from Giggs. I think Giggs is the key here.
And we're being told that it is Larsson coming on for Nikiforenko. So change again as you predicted, and no tactic change, no worries at all. So just the one alteration for Badgers. Let's see if that works out as we resume the action. Half an hour to play. Haggis 1-0 up. Both sides with that change. And now it's 2, and it's Carlos Jacques straight onto the pitch and straight in the goals. And are Haggis going to run wild now? Or can Badgers make a game of it yet? Oh, there's a double chance for the away side. Not converted. And now time is running out quickly. Haggis coming forward. There's 4 minutes now that were being added on. And the game finishes 2-0. Carlos Jacques off the bench and straight into the goals.
Yeah, 2 fingers up to the manager for dropping him. Probably the number of free kicks is spectacular in this game. But yeah, obviously both managers made a substitution. We saw Jacques come in and get the goal straight away, and then afterwards there was at least 1 or 2 chances for Henrik Larsson. So I think they were the right changes to make. It just worked out. Luck was just on Haggis' side in this particular case.
Van Nistelrooy picks up man of the match. But those ratings are a thing of dreams, really, aren't they? I mean, you look at the numbers as well in all the areas, and it just looks a solid performance by the home side.
Yeah, especially against the side as good as the Badgers have been so far in the first 6 games. I think Ian will be very, very pleased. He'll be a little bit pleased. Routine stuff. Now, yeah, he'll keep trolling, and just in case Tato is watching, of course. But indeed, he'll be very happy with that, given the beef between the two boys there. So yeah, no, I mean, fair play. Someone's going to win it, and they're going to have a bit of a gloat. That's just how it is when you've got people that don't get along. So that's fair enough.
It just didn't quite
Yeah.
click for Badgers tonight, did it? You look at those numbers and you think they're not awful, but it just didn't quite hit correctly.
No, and I mean it's also difficult away from home. You could argue that maybe they kind of got away with one last time in against Los Santos in that game where both
Yeah,
teams had whatever many shots on target, and maybe that was kind of papering over a few cracks on their away form. But he definitely won't be delighted with this. And to see Nicky Butt with a yellow card and a 7, Desailly on a 6, Simeone is the only one that really stands out of the three with an 8. That's when you sacrifice 3 players across that DMC line, they
yeah.
really all 3 need to do something. I think he will be he'll be looking at that for sure.
Well, 2 games to go of the regular scheduled programming, and the penultimate game is Exiles versus the team that you said were impressing you in Stanley. It's a tactical change for Exiles. They go back to their YY formation. New signing Petit comes straight into the starting 11 as part of that middle three. And it's Kesa, Sahar and Raul as the attacking trio, as Anelka still injured.
I mean, my pre-match notes are that the front 3 are. I mean, no, it's a no for me, to be honest, on the front 3. I know that Raul. I think Ryan always claimed that he made the side better. I think other people have made the same claim that he doesn't get the numbers, etc., etc. But he makes the side
Just
better when he
having him
plays, or
there,
something
yeah.
like that. I'm not sold on that, but Anelka's injured, so what can you do? You got to try something else. I think behind those 3, I'm on board with this squad. It's looking good. I like the signing of the Portuguese Petit that he's brought in there.
Yep.
Yeah, apart from the front 3, I really like it. One at the back with Nesta. It's nice to see one at the back in the Super League. I don't think we've really seen that regularly since Parma did something crazy a long time ago, maybe. But yeah, one at the back, definitely.
As for Stanley, they're without a suspended Edgar David, so Rui Costa plays in central midfield. As one of a few changes, Zanoni returns to the side. And despite scoring last time out, Mido is dropped to the bench for goalless Sigalko.
Yeah, I mean, similar tactic to the one that Foss Road had, I think. They are. It's an interesting side. I can never really get behind a side that features Neil Scally, of course. So that's already going to be a no from me. It's curious players, the lesser Sand twin, but with Sigalko up top. I mean, you got to play him. I think goalless or otherwise, you have to just play him. I mean, that's what else can you do? I don't think Mido is an adequate replacement in any way, regardless of what he has done in previous games. Phil Neville, I think, is an unsung hero sometimes of the Super League. Very, very versatile, and will get a decent rating in any of those DM
Yeah.
and MRL positions. So
Penultimate game then. Can I ask you for a score prediction?
yeah, I think that Exiles are going to struggle to score. So probably a 1-0 away win.
1-0 away win. Struggled to score. Well, they've struggled to score legally.
Well,
Case that's what this like. And Sigalko
well,
scored! Sigalko scored. It just took Martin to return to the screen for Sigalko to break his duck. And, well, there we go. If nothing else, you will be remembered for this moment in this show. Here come Exiles again, failing to convert. And they're in danger here, Exiles. They go into the break 1-0 behind.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, I was too busy actually looking at the comments. I seen Smuts put a comment in. Peter and Ebba are twins. I didn't know that. That's because we play a text-based game because they are virtually identical, same haircut, same literally everything. So if you'd seen them in real life rather than just looked at their names, then you would have been it would have been less of a surprise to you. Obviously, I guess Peter San got less sort of TV time than his brother sort of back in the day. But anyway. Stanley continue to impress.
They certainly do, and as you said at the very beginning of the show, this is actually not bad by their standards. They're normally sort of a one-shot, one-goal team, but what they are is very, very efficient at what they do.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be the case. And Exiles, I mean, you could argue that Gaston Casas is being punished for playing in the goalkeeper position, but I won't get into that now. Um, I just don't like the front three. I don't like the formation with three strikers, and I don't like the front three players. So I'm kind of not 100% surprised.
Smut's saying, "I've learned a new fact." It'll go into the memory banks alongside the fact that he knew about Nelly and Kelly Rowland's music video. Another shout out to the latest Late Limbs episode. While we wait for news from Exiles, let's have a look at Stanley and Sander Westerveld putting in a decent performance between the sticks. Neil Scally knows that you're here, so he's turned up as well.
For sure, yeah, he does that occasionally, especially when I'm trying to make the point that he's terrible. Westerveld, less of a surprise, although I was surprised. Was it that Haggis was like completely brilliant for a full season
Yes.
before they found this new Argentinian fella? I think Stanley, I mean, Mike's going to be happy with this, isn't he? So
certainly should be. News from Exiles then. So it says move Santos to the right of Veron. Bring on Cambiasso for Casas. And move him to the left of Veron. Now I'm going to presume he wants Zaha and Raul straightening up, Petit and Tamazi straightening up. But what do you think of that midfield alteration?
I think it's good. We've seen it fail earlier when someone moved people into the MC area to try and dominate, but it might work out here. Who knows? Who knows? But I do think he'll be aligning them. Like I can't see this asymmetrical thing being a thing.
Then again, like you say, because of how it is set up and people's beliefs in asymmetrics and stuff, he could quite easily leave it as it is.
Sure. Well, we'll have to give it a couple of seconds and see.
Well, we know the sub's right, so we can always come back and change this after. What have you made of Stanley's first half performance overall?
I mean, up against the three strikers, it's a little bit difficult to say. They're obviously delighted to have a clean sheet, or they must be delighted to have the clean sheet for sure. But we'll see how it goes at 60. If that change that Rocks made has an impact, then we'll see if Stanley has to counter that at 60. But for the moment, he'll definitely stick.
Well, I haven't seen any follow-up message from Rocks to clarify, so I think we'll just play as is because that's how he's described the changes. So I think we keep it like that.
Yeah, he can jump in at 60 if he.
We resume the action then. Oh, nearly a chance. Nearly a goal for Exiles. Santos goes in the book. And we get to 61. Still haven't managed to force that equaliser. Is it time for Batistuta?
I mean, there's always time for Batistuta, isn't it? Really, it's got to be more goals in Batistuta than in Zaha and Raul up front. You would have thought, but we'll see what Neil says. But I'd be a little bit nervous if I was Mike now, but happy to hold on still.
Do you think, and obviously the game doesn't know what's going on in 2024 or even 2023 as it was at the time, but do you think Rock's saying that he wants to build a side to be involved in the most goal situations, whether that's scored and conceded in Super League history, has played a part in him being one of the most boring teams to watch in terms of goals scored and conceded?
It's very difficult. One thing that you learn as a Super League manager to some extent, but for sure as a Super League chairman, is that it's very difficult to create a tactic or assemble a team designed to score goals. You can do what you want, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything or work out in that way. I think that people need to have a look at long ball tactics, to be honest, but we'll see. We'll see if anyone is brave enough to ever consider that.
So we've got Petit coming off an hour into his debut for Batistuta, who becomes a free up top. Raul to the left, Saha to the right. What do you think of that change?
Batistuta on, so he has a better chance of scoring now. So I'm happy to see that.
As for Stanley, then let's move over and have a look at their figures. Again, fairly. I feel like I'm doing them a disservice saying it, but it just looks kind of just above average, but efficient.
Yeah, I mean, Sinoni was on a 6. I put Phil Neville on there. He's definitely going to do a better job. You could even put Sinoni in the middle, I guess, for Sand, and then put Phil Neville on the right wing back. That's what I would do. But apart from that, I would just close my eyes and put my fingers in my ears
Pray.
and open them again in 10 seconds and hope that I've won.
Well, it'd be very interesting to see what Mike does here. I referenced late limbs earlier. I fixed the problem with Spotify. So if you haven't already conceded and just headed over to YouTube to watch the latest episode, it is now available on Spotify. It comes with all your favorite parts, me and Smuts talking nonsense, an update and a preview on the Super League, including we talk the Oceania Cup and the latest new additions from out of league in the Super League. And then he performs admirably in the music quiz. And if everyone could just take a moment to notice he's had a haircut as well, that would be delightful because I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, considering his kind of like indie boy credentials and trying to be with his haircut and all that, he got a remarkable amount of questions on other music right. I think he has if he says he has a varied taste, then that's probably fair. I would have thought he'd done worse, to be honest.
And he also, for only, I think, the second time in all the time I've known him, said his wife's name on a stream. Always gets referred to as my wife, or I will say Mrs. S or Mrs. Smuts, but no, her name actually gets dropped on the show as well. And then he was fuming afterwards. We've small talked our way into full time, and Stanley just motor along. Sigalko with the match winner on 14 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, as mentioned, you can decide that you would like to create a side that has a lot of chances, but by playing no defenders and a shit ton of strikers, that's not how it works in the Super League for reasons I don't fully understand. It's just something that you have to accept. So back to the drawing board, Rocks. I suggest long ball tactics, but who knows?
They are becoming boring exiles. I mean, I appreciate my squad was never destined to win the thing, but at least we entertained with, both teams to score games. And when we lost properly, like 7-0. You make a good point about loads of attackers and not many defenders. Maybe the quality's just not there in the right places, or they've got too much in the defensive quality, not enough in the attacking quality to get this goal fest that the Rocks is hoping for.
Maybe so. And there is something, without going into like some kind of boring championship manager law, there is something about debuffs for playing players out of position, something to do with the arrows, and there are many things that can impact it. I mean, I would like to see something completely different, trying to play with like forwards or something like that. I don't know, something different, because just lumping more players in positions and with tactics, I mean, I haven't seen his instructions, I don't know, but just shifting players a little bit around and play short attacking, hard pressing or whatever, that's I don't think that's gonna make a difference. Then it becomes more about the players than the tactic, and he doesn't have the squad for creating a million chances, so it has to be done tactically.
Solid team performance from the away team, and noticeably again, Sander Westerveld continues to excel.
Yeah, he'll be happy with that. Presumably, why he's starting him over Peter Schmeichel, who, you could argue the best goalkeeper of all time if you are Danish, anyway. But yeah, good solid performance. No like brilliant standout performances. Gary Neville did a great job as captain, and Thiago got the goal. But if you have Thiago, then all you really need is a defense that can kind of defend, a good goalkeeper, and then you're if not laughing, then you're at least in with a shout.
Where just on that comment on Peter Schmeichel, where does Kasper sit on the list of greatest Danish goalkeepers?
I don't even think Danish people rate him that much. I mean, they're kind of happy, but that he's there because he's obviously better than anyone else that we've got, or he was. I think now he's probably slacking a little bit, getting old as well. So, but yeah, I don't think he'll be mentioned in years to come. We had some great goalkeepers before Peter Schmeichel as well in the 80s. So although he has, I think, over 100 caps now, I don't think he'll be thought of that highly. He also seems like a little bit of an annoying person. That's then. Not that Peter Schmeichel isn't, but he was a very, very good goalkeeper, obviously.
I wonder what Smuts will say about Kasper and whether he would agree with your assessment. We come to the final game, East Coast hosting Stackington. Stackington, another side who've got their out-of-league signing over the line, throw him straight into the 11. And also the massive news is the return of Iker Casillas, who, for anyone who's watching for the first time, so far this season, Casillas has played 2, been sent off twice.
Super League winner with Bolton Phoenix back in the day, though. You can't argue. No, he's a bit of a strange one, Iker Casillas. I think the argument is that he plays really weird. He has like a hidden attribute, like big games or something like that, where he's like 20 or whatever, and then he's kind of prone to not being super solid. As I remember, Ryan swapped him with Nick Matulin. I think that was the kind of thing that he was doing. I'm not entirely sure what qualifies as a big game, but anyway, worked out. I mean, he's better than Mondragon, so. That's all I can say to that, really. On this Michael note, I was just about to say the other thing that Kasper doesn't really have going for him is that he didn't win anything of note, which I guess would annoy Smuts slightly more.
As for East Coast, they are still without Zayas, Ferguson unavailable as well, and Alex, who, as we mentioned earlier, is headed for Pastures New, does start in this fixture. Coast also have their out-of-league signing over the line, but he's another one who doesn't even make the matchday squad for his debut. Coast have proven over the last season or so that they can cope with missing a key player. They spent quite a bit of time last year without Harry Kewell, who become influential for them. But missing Zayas and Barry Ferguson in the same game does alter your it does diminish your midfield slightly, doesn't it?
It certainly does. I mean, they do have good options, as you mentioned, coming in here. It's a must-win home game for them. I can see why they would be, I mean, not concerned, because Stackington they've not gotten off to a super start. But it's a potential stumbling block with those two guys out. Would I have thrown Zurawski in? Maybe just for a laugh or for whatever. But I mean, Dimble takes this seriously, doesn't he? So
He does.
He picks the squad that he thinks is going to win. There's no gambling time here, and they will manage without those two. I think they will get the win here for sure.
Well, as you've predicted them to win, I'm going to give you the chance to do Smuts' offer: score prediction or red card minute prediction.
Red card minute. Well, we haven't had any red cards so far, so maybe it's going to be
and now
one
Casillas is back in the starting lineup.
maybe Casillas is going to pick up his third on let's say the 40th minute, something like that.
Okay, let's see if you're right. Final game of the regular Super League fixtures, but don't disappear at the end of this, because remember, we have got a bonus fixture as Australia look to conquer Oceania. It's a penalty, and it was only a yellow card given. I was about to cry on Ross's behalf, because Casillas having another nightmare, as they've conceded twice in the first 20 minutes. And Coast looking for more, 3 minutes being added on. And there it is, first ever goal for Zanetti. And, Casillas is never going to play for Stackington again, surely.
I mean, it's him or Mondragon. I don't know what else they have lying around, but that's not
Day is the other one.
All. That's not gone well at all, that first half for Stackington. So, I mean, a very dominant display from Dimble, who says clear red. Exactly.
Smut saying was sure that it was a Casillas red as well. Let's start with the home side. Zanetti in the book and on the score sheet. Solid ratings. There's 2 players there with 9, couple of 8s as well. Yes, I'll go to the match report in a moment, see what actually happened for the penalty. Dimble will be very happy with that, won't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's not often you're 3-0 up at halftime in a Super League game. He's going to go as is for sure. And then maybe at 60, look at some fitness things or throwing someone on for fun towards the end.
So Alex was... let's go back slightly. So Hussein scored. Alex was fouled in the penalty area going past Casillas. The penalty was awarded. Mr. Zeta showed Casillas a yellow card.
Must have been a defender covering behind him or something. Who knows?
Must have been. Casillas is on a 5. Captain Hippier also on a 5. A whole host of 6s in there as well. Only the returning Ashley Cole rating a 7. This has not gone well for Stackington at all, has it?
No, it hasn't. I'm not sure what the instructions are. The squad isn't really... It's not being down 3-0 at halftime material, the squad, to be honest. So maybe there's something in the tactics that need a bit of work there. It's like not impossible, but it's super difficult when you come into the Super League as a new manager. So I take my hat off to anyone who fancies giving that a go. I've done it twice and failed miserably both times. So good luck to to anyone who fancies it. I would go as is and just ride it off. I mean, maybe put Kessman on just for a laugh, but yeah.
Well, on that point, as both managers going as is, I'll resume the second half. Would you throw your hat in the ring for a manager's job again at any point?
Due to the lack of availability in terms of being able to attend the live shows with the time difference and other stuff, then no, I wouldn't take a spot of someone who actually could, if could attend those things. If that was to change, then obviously I would. So, and if any of the managers needs a very incompetent assistant then who doesn't attend shows, then then I'm always happy to help.
So while we do, as this is the last game, how much sort of champ time do you get these days? Are you doing anything in particular at the moment? I know Smuts wanted me to ask you about the Invitational.
I don't really do anything, to be honest. I mean, whenever I can find a little bit of time, I try to squeeze in a season or 2 here or there. It's kind of, it comes and goes. Yeah, when there's time for that. I'm trying to win all of the trophies in the entire game. There's like 200 or something like that. So that'll take about 10 years. So that's kind of what I won't say doing at the moment, but that's what I've got loaded up in the background pretty much all the time. It's rare that I get a chance to press any buttons.
Okay. Double change for East Coast. Rivaldo coming on for Alex. Viduka for Stanic, and then swapping places with Shevchenko. We seem to mention him every stream. Look at Kovalchuk, a 10 out of 10 performance on 60 minutes. Stunning levels he's been reaching since coming into this Coast team. Stackington, Morientes now the only player on a 5, but nobody above a 7. Casillas still the only player in the referee's notebook. Conditions aren't too much of a problem. again, similar to half time, I suppose, nothing's changed. Does he just ride it out, or does he just mix it up a little bit and see if something clicks?
Give the 3 subs 20, 30 minutes, see what they can do, if anything. That's probably what I would do. But yeah, he's going Kessman for D'Alessandro and pushing him up front. The three up front. I'm not sold. Not centrally. Someone's going to do something spectacular with forwards one day, I'm sure. But three central, I don't I don't think it's working.
I don't recall if you were around in the days where I played Nort up front and won the game.
Yes, I remember that.
78 on the clock, still 3-0 to the home side. Morientes getting involved, but it just peters out into nothing really. And Coast with a fairly routine 3-0 win. But Casillas managed 90 minutes.
Yeah, managed to stay on the pitch. That's got to be one positive for Stackington to take away from that one. Well, when you're in a situation like that, you're always hoping you've got home games coming up. So that's what I hope Stackington have got coming up, because it's a bit of a difficult situation to be in for a new manager, etc. as well. Kowalczyk, that's another one who's not been like a super regular name in the Super League as well.
No, 100%. He's, like I said earlier, he's performing at levels well above his station for Dimble. It's been mighty impressive. And it's just a tale of two differing sides. You could just see in the match ratings alone. I mean, Stackington's improved, but they were just nowhere near the level of their hosts tonight, unfortunately.
Unfortunately not. I mean, one nice takeaway is Casillas staying on the pitch and picking up an 8, and the new boy, Assunção, I'm butchering that Portuguese pronunciation probably, but him getting an 8 and flying in with the tackles, that's solid. That's solid.
No, absolutely. Well, congratulations to Dimble. So we've got the classifieds here then. So it's Dudley 1, Vikings 1, East Coast 3, Stackington 0, Exiles 0, Stanley 1, Foss Road 4, Fulchester 0, Haggis 2, Badgers 0, LSK 1, Sloths 1, Sancte 1, Burn 3. That leaves the table looking like this. And Coast are now top. They are one of 3 sides on 14. Coast, Vikings, Stanley, all on 14 points, but it's Coast who lead the way. A point further back, Burn in 4th with 13. Then Badgers, a point again, 5th on 12. And then a point again to Foss Road in 6th on 11. Dudley Hill also on 11, as a Haggis just below the dotted line in 7 and 8. Sancte in 9th on 10. Exiles 10th on 8. Fulchester 11th on 7. LSK 12th on 5, Stackington 13th on 4, and Sloths still winless. Still winless after 7 games, are 14th with just 2 points. The fixtures for Sunday, Badgers Coast, what a game that could be. Dudley Foss Road, another very good game. At the bottom of the table, Fulchester host LSK, Northern Burn Haggis, Sloths try and sort that rot out at home to Sancte. Exiles travel to Stackington, battle of 2 new managers, and then Vikings and Stanley in a top of the table clash. Really looking forward to that. Mike saying joint top, considering they were the team much fancied to finish bottom. Oh wow, great game coming up. 7 games and 3 points off the top, 3 away games coming up, so expect to be in the bottom 3 by then, says Smuts. As New Zealand have finished 3rd in the Oceania Cup, beating Vanuatu. Here we go. One sec. I'll just drop this down a second while I sort this out. Martin, while I just sort this out, what's been your view of what you've just witnessed this evening?
Yeah, I think it's a very good round of Super League action, some good games. Interesting one for me, especially looking at the start of the season, is East Coast. I've always had like a sneaky suspicion that Dimble is quite a lot better than a lot of other people at this game. And I was thinking that he's gonna get that star one day for sure if he sticks with it. So sometimes it's about patience as well. I think he's gonna be in the running pretty much every season with his knowledge of the game, with the players, with his tactics. So good solid start for them. Delighted for Jens. I said in my pre-match or pre-season predictions that he'd like inherited the curse, because no matter what Thiago seemed to do, his team always did a terrible job. And it seemed that Jens was in the same position. Yeah, you do something, you lose, and you do something else, you also lose, and then you go back to the original, and then you win, and you think, aha, it was just a blip, and then you lose all your games again. So it's been a tricky time for Jens with I don't know if he's threatened to leave, but if in jest or in all seriousness. But good to see him getting some points on the board in this season as well. So, but overall, yeah, a good interesting round. Big challenges for some of the managers, and business as usual for some others.
No, absolutely. I've not got enough space to clear quickly to get this done, so I'm going to play the Australia game offline. And I will let you know the results. But Martin, it has been an absolute pleasure to welcome you back. It's great to have you back around the Super League, and long may it continue. Don't be a stranger. You know you're welcome anytime you like.
I'll do my best to pop up every now and again. Smart even mentioned the possibility of a late limbs guest appearance, but we'll see. We'll see if I get time during a week at some point to jump in and have a go at people's various tastes and selections of music and footballers and otherwise. So, but
yeah, definitely.
But we'll see. But no, happy to be involved again, Fyfie. As always, it's a pleasure.
Yes.
And thanks everyone for having me.
And yeah, on that note, Smuts and I are working in the background on a format to get the guests involved sooner rather than later. So hopefully we'll have you all on soon. Again, absolute pleasure, Martin. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Hope you've enjoyed the show. And I will let you know how Australia get on in the Oceania Cup Final. Packs will most likely be out tomorrow when I get in from work ahead of Sunday's game. So all that's left to say on behalf of Martin and myself, thank you very much and good night.